My fiancée abruptly broke off our engagement, claiming she needed to be single. Months later, she reappeared at my doorstep pregnant, insisting the baby is mine, despite having left me to see other men. She showed up at my front door with a pregnant belly and acted like nothing had happened. She looked at me like things were normal, like we hadn't been broken up for 6 months. I hadn't seen her or spoken to her since the day she walked out. There had been no texts, no calls, nothing. She had blocked me on every platform. The last thing she said to me was that she needed to be single and figure herself out. Now she stood in front of me, visibly pregnant, and told me the baby was mine. She didn't ease into it. She just said it, like it was obvious, like I should have expected it. I didn't know what to say. I stood in the doorway and stared at her. I noticed how far along she looked. There was no way to ignore the timing. It was possible, but everything about the situation made me suspicious. She kept standing there, waiting for me to say something, but I couldn't get a single word out. I was trying to understand what she wanted. I hadn't heard from her in months, and now she was back, acting like we still had something to talk about. She didn't even acknowledge the breakup or what she did afterward. She just went straight into saying it was my child. I didn't let her in. I told her I didn't understand why she was here. She said she wanted to talk, that this was important. I said I needed time. I wasn't going to accept something like that without thinking it through. She looked upset, but I didn't care. She was the one who left. She was the one who blocked me and moved on. Now she wanted to come back into my life and drop this news like it was my responsibility. That moment threw everything off again. I had been working hard to move on, and now I was back to questioning everything. We were together for 3 years. We got engaged 10 months before she left. We lived together in a 1-bedroom apartment not far from where I work. We had started planning the wedding. We had a guest list draft, picked a venue we both liked, even talked about having kids in a few years. Everything seemed stable. We had some disagreements here and there, but nothing serious. She never said she was unhappy. There were no signs she was thinking of leaving. Then one evening, she came home and said she couldn't do it anymore. She said she needed to be alone. She didn't explain it clearly. She only kept repeating that she wasn't ready and didn't know what she wanted from life. I asked her if this was about someone else. She said no. I asked her if she wanted to work through it in therapy or take a short break. She said she didn't want any of that. She wanted out. She packed her things in 2 days. She took most of her clothes, her books, and some stuff from the kitchen that she had bought. She left behind the furniture, the photos, and all the plans we had made together. There was no fight, no yelling. Just silence. I tried to stay calm, thinking maybe she'd change her mind in a week or 2. But she never came back. I didn't sleep much for the first few weeks. The apartment felt empty. I would come home from work and expect to see her, even though I knew she was gone. I kept the wedding folder on my desk for a while because I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't throw anything away at first. It all felt too sudden to process. One minute I was planning a future with her, and the next I was sitting alone in a place full of her leftovers, trying to figure out what just happened after she left. She blocked me on everything. No phone calls, no texts, no social media. It was like I didn't exist anymore. I found out from mutual friends that she had started going out a lot. They said she was always at bars or parties and seemed fine. A few weeks later, I heard she was already seeing someone new. I didn't try to contact her. I figured if she wanted space, I'd give it to her. I didn't beg her to come back. I didn't chase her. I stayed quiet, even though it hurt. More updates came through people we both knew. They told me she was acting like she was completely done with that chapter of her life. She wasn't hiding it. She had posted photos with a guy, then a few weeks later with someone else. No one knew if she was serious with either of them, but it was clear she had moved on. I was still trying to get my life back together. I didn't understand how she could detach so quickly after everything we had planned. It was obvious she wasn't thinking about coming back. So I started forcing myself to stop thinking about her. A few months passed. I focused on work, kept going to the gym, started therapy. I didn't want to get stuck in that place mentally. I stopped asking people about her. If someone brought her up, I'd change the subject. Then one day, a friend mentioned she might be pregnant. I didn't respond. I didn't want to deal with rumors. I assumed it was about one of the guys she had dated after me, but more people started saying the same thing. That she hadn't been seen out much anymore. That she looked like she was showing. Someone even said she had stopped drinking completely. I didn't ask questions. I didn't want to know. I had accepted she was gone. She broke off the engagement, blocked me, started dating other people, and disappeared from my life. Whatever she was doing now didn't involve me. I told myself it wasn't my problem. Still, the timing stayed in the back of my mind. I started doing the math. If she got pregnant shortly after she left, there was a chance it could line up. But I pushed that thought away. It didn't make sense. She left me, and then she moved on. I had no reason to think any of this was connected to me, kept my distance from everything related to her. Even when people brought her up, I didn't react. I had stopped checking her social media long ago since I was blocked, and I didn't care to make fake accounts or ask friends for updates. I just wanted to get through each day without thinking about her. I thought I was making progress. I wasn't fully over it, but I wasn't living in the past either. Then one night, there was a knock at my door. It was late, almost 10 p.m. I wasn't expecting anyone. I opened it, and there she was. She didn't look surprised to see me. She looked calm, like this was something she had planned. She was clearly pregnant. There was no hiding it now. Her jacket was unzipped, and it was obvious how far along she was. I was too stunned to speak right away. She stood there, silent for a second, then told me the baby was mine. No explanation. No apology. Just those words. She said we needed to talk. I asked her why she was here. She just repeated that we had to talk and that it was important. She kept trying to look me in the eye. I didn't invite her in. I told her I wasn't ready for a conversation. She looked hurt, but I didn't say anything more. I wasn't going to have a discussion like that out of nowhere, after months of silence. She didn't say much else before she left. Just that she knew I probably had questions and that she'd answer them when I was ready. Then she turned around and walked back to her car. I didn't sleep that night. I kept thinking about what she said. I didn't understand how she could show up like that after everything. She cut me out completely. Didn't care about how I was doing. Didn't reach out once. Then months later, when she's pregnant, she suddenly wants to reconnect. It didn't feel right. I started thinking more seriously about the timeline. We hadn't been intimate right before the breakup, but we had been the weeks before. There was a window where it could have happened. But it wasn't clear. She left quickly and started dating again not long after. The idea that she was suddenly sure it was mine didn't sit right with me. I wasn't going to take her word for it. She had already proven she could walk away without hesitation. She had already lied by omission, disappearing without a clear explanation. I needed to understand what was really going on. If this was going to affect my life, I wasn't going to let emotions guide the decisions. I needed facts. A week after she showed up, she texted me from a new number. She said she hoped I was okay and that she didn't mean to shock me. She said she wanted to explain everything in person. I didn't respond. I needed time to think. I went back through everything that had happened, the breakup, the silence, the things mutual friends had said about her dating other guys. I remembered hearing about at least 2 different men she had seen in the months after she left. People had mentioned their names casually, saying she seemed to be moving on quickly. Eventually, I agreed to meet with her. I told her we could talk in a public place. She showed up alone. We sat down and she immediately started talking about how she panicked before the wedding. She said she felt trapped and didn't know how to process the pressure. She said she still loved me but felt like she needed space to figure out what she wanted in life. She said the baby was mine and that she hadn't been with anyone else during or after the breakup. She said she just needed time alone, and that she regretted how she handled things. I reminded her that people told me she had been dating. I told her I didn't hear that from strangers. I heard it from people who knew her. She didn't deny it. She admitted to seeing a couple of people but said none of them were serious, and that she hadn't slept with anyone else. She said the relationships were brief and meant nothing, that she had been confused and lonely. It didn't change how I felt. The facts still weren't adding up. She left me without warning, started seeing other people, then came back pregnant claiming it was mine. She wanted me to take her word for everything, even though she had kept me out of her life for 6 months. Her story felt like something she had practiced. She didn't look nervous, just determined to convince me. That made me even more cautious. I listened, but I didn't say much. I wanted to hear everything she had to say before deciding what to do. By the end of the conversation, nothing she said gave me confidence. There were too many gaps, too much missing. Her decisions had consequences, and she seemed to expect me to just move past them. But I wasn't going to do that without being sure. After that meeting, I told her I needed time to think. She said she understood, but she kept texting me almost every day. She asked how I was feeling, if I had questions, if I wanted to meet again. I didn't reply to most of the messages. I didn't trust how quickly she switched from disappearing to acting like we were still connected. I kept thinking about the timeline. She left 6 months ago. The baby looked about that far along. But I couldn't ignore what I knew. She had gone out a lot, seen different guys, even been photographed with at least one of them. Her saying none of them meant anything didn't explain enough. Just because something wasn't serious doesn't mean it didn't happen. She wanted me to believe that she left me, dated other people, and somehow still only had a connection with me. That didn't make sense. That I told her I wasn't going to take her word for anything. I needed proof. She got emotional. She said I was being cold and unfair. That I was acting like she was lying when she was trying to do the right thing. I stayed calm and told her again, if she wanted me involved, I needed a paternity test. Without it, there was nothing to talk about. She didn't like that. She said it hurt that I didn't believe her. I told her that trust had to be earned. I reminded her that she left me, cut off all contact, and reappeared when she was already pregnant. That kind of behavior didn't give me any reason to blindly believe anything. She didn't push back after that. She just said she'd schedule the test and let me know when it was set up. Then she left. I haven't heard anything from her since. I don't know what her next move will be. But I'm not going to make decisions based on guilt or pressure. If the baby's mine, I'll take responsibility. If it's not, then this whole situation ends there. Either way, I need the truth before anything else.